We are officially in the 2 weeks in between eclipses. Okay, so we had a lunar eclipse on March 14th and we have a solar eclipse on March 29th. The 2 weeks in between eclipses are the most pivotal, transformative times that we have each year. We have them twice a year. But before I get into that and my own personal journey on this eclipse season, my name is Lauren. I'm a professional astrologer. I've been practicing for 5 years now. And I really want to, one, use this video for you guys to get to know me a little bit more on a personal level. I'm like, what the heck's going on in my life? And secondly, to just use it as a really good example that we use astrology as a tool to guide us in life to make the human experience easier. That's literally why astrology has been gifted to us. It's why astrology has been around for millennials, because it helps us walk through life, basically. So why I say the weeks in between eclipses are the most transformative is because this is typically the time that we wake up to a certain pattern we want to release. We have things leave our life. We have big, massive changes, or we want to start something and an idea, things like that. That's why oftentimes you see engagements during eclipses, job losses, moves, all the big things, really, when you track it down to your life. Now, of course, each eclipse is going to impact us all differently based off of our charts. So I want to kind of just get in a little bit of my journey right now during this eclipse season. So I am married and my husband is a Virgo rising. So that lunar eclipse eclipsed his first house. And the first house in astrology is really around your identity and how do you want people to perceive you? How do you want to step out into this world? And when you have an eclipse in your first house, specifically a lunar eclipse with the South Node, we have to release an identity. We have to release something that potentially we are very attached to. Now, it might have to do with your work because this eclipse is squaring, and in astrology, that just means challenging your 10th house of work. And it's also squaring the 4th house of home. Again, challenging it means that things can change in those spaces when something happens in your first house. Lo and behold, on this eclipse, he lost his job and we are moving. Now, what's crazy is we have a 4-month-old. So he lost his job on March 1st. He was laid off. And then March 14th was literally his last day. I mean, obviously he didn't work up until then, but that was his last actual day, I guess, on payroll. And that was literally the day of the lunar eclipse. So we instantly knew, okay, this is part of his eclipse journey. And what we have to do is trust, right? We have to trust the fact that this happened, which means that it was destined, it was fated, because that's what eclipses are about, realigning our timelines. Now, he worked in corporate America, and we're going to do a whole podcast on this so you can hear his own perception of his reality and things like that. But basically, doors were just being shut on him a lot, and he could never really grow. And he always felt small, and he always felt anxious, and he's a Virgo rising, overthinks everything. But when he was laid off, we kind of just took a breath. And I was telling people with this lunar eclipse in Virgo, don't control things, let things go, all that kind of stuff. It's detoxifying our life, literally the mind, body, soul. Being in corporate America was soul sucking for him. He just never felt emotionally connected to it. And then we had our kid. And I was trying to work and he was trying to work and we were just burnt out, exhausted. He was gone all day. It just wasn't a great fit anymore. So when he lost it, there was a few hours of kind of shook and anxiety, but this weird calmness because again, we had astrology to understand that this was meant to be. Now, I've done our synastry since the first few dates. And a synastry chart is your compatibility chart, basically, kind of what do you do really well together? Another chart we do is your composite chart or your Davison chart. And those are things of what's your journey as a couple? What's your purpose as a couple? And I've always told him, we're meant to have babies and we're meant to work together. We seriously are meant to work together. And he never really bought in, I would say. I just don't think he was ready. I think it was all divine time. And he'd be no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I was whatever. And I had to just give up on it. And after he was laid off, he kind of looked at me a few hours later and he goes, maybe this is the time. Why not? We're protected by unemployment and a severance. Why not give it a shot? I will come. I'll be your marketer because that's what he did in corporate America. And I'll finally get on your damn podcast and we'll just talk about life. Let's just see where it brings us. I'm over the fucking moon. I'm oh my God, this is so exciting. So then, right, if he has a massive change, I had to look at my chart and be what's coming for me? because I have a solar eclipse. This eclipse, the solar, the one coming up, is really big for me. And it's in my 7th house. So his eclipse happened in the 1st house, all about him. My eclipse, a new beginning, is happening in my 7th house, all about my partner, business partners, marriage partners. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is trippy. We're going to birth something. So I got to thinking about like, how do I want to grow my business? Now, I've been working towards really launching, I'm just going to say it, like an astrology school, specifically for people to understand astrology, but then to go out and help people heal. And not just like, this is your personality traits, read a chart. It's what is blocking them? What struggles and patterning are they seeing? And how can we help people get out of that? So therapists trained in astrology, tarot readers, yoga instructors, and then also just like people who want to be astrologers. Like that's my dream, is to build out and support other people to use astrology and go help heal, because it's changed my life. And the one thing that I just like haven't really been vibing with anymore is therapy. And I, since I was 12 years old, thought I was going to be a therapist. And I became a therapist, went to college, got my degree, got my master's program, got my license, was like boom, bam, boom, boom. I started my private practice. And honestly, I've loved practicing the last 5 years. I think it's been really, really amazing. But there was something missing. And my astrology readings were just like lighting me up, and I'm getting so much energy. And if I have to be away from my child all day, I want to do something that's lighting me up, right? And so I'm telling him like all my ideas for what I want to grow my business to and all these things. And I just wasn't doing them the last few weeks. Like I just didn't have energy. I've been burned out, drained. And it was really just because of this consistency of clients that I wasn't really aligned with anymore. And on the lunar eclipse, he looked at me and he goes, why don't you leave it? And I was very, very scared. Like, to be honest, I was like, I can't do that. We need money. We need stability. And he was like, don't you trust your transits? Don't you trust your purpose? Like, I like to go to psychics a lot. I go to astrologers and I go to psychics. That's my therapy. And they've been repeating back to me, like, your guides keep telling me, like, you need to transition out. You're keeping yourself burnt out. You're keeping yourself stuck. And he's like, this is your time too. Let's do it. Let's dive in. Now, was I scared? Am I scared? Yeah. But it's this weird knowing that that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to leave corporate America. We're supposed to leave the rat race. And by me, pulling out from therapy, cutting ties with insurance companies, the things that just didn't feel right anymore for me personally has been like liberating. And I love my clients, but at the end of the day, I have to realize like I have to live my life. But, right, what was my lesson in this? Well, I feel so freaking guilty. And I have a Chiron in Virgo, 12th house. I have this guilt that I have to be overworked, underpaid. I have to show up for these people. And it's like, I cannot be their saviors, right? Like, that's not my job as a therapist. My job as a therapist is to guide them. And when it's my time to move on, it's also their time to move on. I'm not the best medicine for them if I'm not bought in it anymore. And just the last few weeks since I've had my baby, I've just really realized like, this isn't my dream. My dream is astrology. My dream is to build this practice out. And so I'm leaving my private practice. I'm going all into my astrology business. My husband's coming with me. And so this channel is going to be like growing that. And it's scary. My dad doesn't want me to do it at all. My dad definitely doesn't want me to do it because that's how I was raised, right? This programming of corporate America, and you get insurance and you work 9 to 5 and you stay in your job for 40 years. But we all know as the newer generation that was fed a lie. And what's crazy is in my own chart, I have a South Node in Taurus. And if you go to my website, I have a whole course on your lunar nodes, and I'll explain all of this in that course. But basically, your South Node is where you can get stuck in life. It's your karma, it's your strength. Being in Taurus is I can grow financial stability and safety in my life, but I can also get stuck there. Where the North Node is where we're supposed to like be moving towards and growing towards in our lifetime. It's our destiny. And I'm supposed to be moving towards making money through my intuitive gifts, through helping people transform their shadows and toxic things in their psyche, because my North Node is literally in Scorpio in my 2nd house. So if you don't know astrology, that's fine. But basically just saying that by me taking this leap, it's pushing me towards my destiny and not getting stuck in not only my karma and my birth chart, but my familial patterning, what I've been taught my whole life. And I find that that's really on brand online with this lunar eclipse as well, because we're supposed to be purifying our mind, body, and soul. I am literally reconstructing the beliefs I hold in my mind about what is success, what is safety in this world. Because ultimately, if I'm with my family, if I'm doing what I love, that's success to me and my partner. And by doing that, we're going to naturally attract in more money. That's the law of attraction, manifestation. And again, if I'm preaching this to people every day, telling them to trust and take the leap and yada, 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 I have to take my own medicine to not just talk the talk, but I need to walk the walk. And that's what's happening right now. And to layer it even further, which why I know it's meant to be, not that I need to convince anyone else besides myself, is that this solar eclipse in Aries, like I've said in my last videos, go check it out, is literally a time that we are birthing our passions. And this is my passion. And my husband, like, I'm so excited for him to be on because he's so creative, but he's never really been able to like flex that skill because, you know, when you're in corporate America, there's always restrictions and guidelines and all that. And here I'm like, here you go. You do you. So that solar eclipse, that new beginning, something we've been working towards for the last 2 years, it all just seems so great. Now, this isn't totally as easy as maybe I'm making it feel like. There are definitely some fears in the sense of I have to be confident. I have to get on camera and share personal information. And it's funny because I'm an Aquarius sun. So even though Aquarians do kind of like to be seen, they also don't. So if you think about Aquarius, they are the villagers. They are part of the community. And then they go and get water, the water bearer, and bring it back and support the community to make them thrive. And Leo, on the other hand, is the king of the zodiac. They love to be on stage. Those are comedians. Those are influencers. And so being an Aquarius, you love to share information. You love to hope people listen to you because you can see things 5 steps ahead. You can be so progressive. You can literally help shape the collective to move forward, which is why Aquarians are the leaders right now. But it's not fully like, hey, look at me, I'm glamorous. But what's unique about my birth chart is I have Mars, the planet of drive and motivation, in Leo. So for me, it's actually really motivating me to be on screen, on camera. And that's a part of me. That's a part of me that actually loves this. And I know that. But then there's a part of me that's Aquarius. It's like, well, why don't I just go hide in my cabin, write an astrology book, and put it out there? Aquarius is my 5th house of creation, what I like to birth into this world, what I like to create in this world. And Leo is my 11th house of groups of people. I'm meant to lead groups of people through Aquarian things. So that's why I love astrology. Sometimes it can be so literal, like I'm meant to create astrology content and then share it out, my Mars. But it's also an internal battle at the same time because yes, I have both of these parts, but they're polar opposites. Now, of course, I have some insecurities around this. Sharing stuff about me personally is actually really uncomfortable. I can share about astrology all day long, but when I have to start talking more about myself, it gives me a little bit of anxiety because I get self-conscious. And, you know, I've had to really look at my chart and dissect it and figure out like, how can I use it as a strength and move through this insecurity? Because like my husband keeps saying, we're only going to go as far as you put yourself out there. Which is why I'm here right now. But this is just a really good example of how I use astrology. So first off, I have my moon in my 10th house in the sign of Cancer. Okay. The moon is what you're emotionally tied to. 10th house is how you are out in this world. That's why it's usually career, it's your reputation. I am very emotionally sensitive to how people perceive me. And then I'm an Aquarius sun. And if you know anything about Aquarians, they love to share their information that they know, but they don't always like to be in the limelight. They are part of the village, where Leo, the opposing side, that's the king. That is the influencers, the celebrities that love to be seen on stage. Aquarians are the water bearers. They go out, they grab water, they come back, and they share what they learned as they pondered on that walk with the village of how the village can move forward. Because Aquarians are really progressive. They see things 5 steps ahead of other people. Aquarius literally rules over the cosmos. And so being an Aquarius with Mercury, my mind in Aquarius, retrograding, I am meant to share things because it's in my 5th house of creation. It's in my 5th house of Leo. Like, I am meant to share astrological content to progress the collective. But it's, I don't know, vulnerable. My moon is like, ugh, and my Aquarian energy is like, I don't need the credit. But why I'm here right now is I have a Mars, the planet that motivates me, in Leo, the exact opposite sign of Aquarius. Okay. So I have this part that motivates me being on screen. Like, I do like it. But then it's opposing my sun. There's these two parts that kind of battle of like, share this, don't share this, only share astrology, share personal stuff. So on this journey in this channel, it's kind of pushing me out there to share more about me, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be transmuting these fears and insecurities. That's why I really like astrology, is all the parts, all the planets in your chart are like parts of yourself that interact. They're like family members fighting with each other or helping each other and sharing with each other. And when you can understand your birth chart from a holistic view, you literally can do what your soul is destined to do, which is why I'm so excited to launch this astrology mentorship program, because I know that the more people that can understand their chart, the world would change for the better. And it's just amazing and beautiful. And we come home to ourselves. We remember who we are. We remember our soul's journey here. And that's freaking powerful, honestly. So that's like an example of how I use my chart. And so part of this channel is, one, showing you guys how living by your transits, living by your chart, moving through these fears and these insecurities of your birth chart can literally change your life for the better. But two, if you have questions, like, let me know. I'm here to help. I'm here to answer any questions. We can do YouTube shorts. We could do whole lectures. But most importantly, if you want to become an astrologer, if you just want to learn the ins and outs of astrology, if you are a healer that has already have their own practice but want to incorporate astrology, go to my website and get on the wait list for my mentorship program this summer, because it's about to be super powerful. And I have to cap it because I want you to really, really learn to make sure you're walking away confident, right? Because that's my whole goal. So I'm really excited for this summer. I want to teach. I'm excited for this move. Like, the fact that I'm moving during all of this really adds a whole nother layer too, right? Because I'm setting up my new space to be magnetic. I'm a Cancer moon. My home, again, something that's so important, is my most important space. Same with my husband. He's a Cancer moon. And it's just wild to think that I'm moving during all of this, because your home is where you create, right? Your home is where you recharge. And we're leaving all the stuff that's happened over the last 18 months in this house. His insecurities, his job loss, my pregnancy that was a lot of anxiety, right? The newborn stage that was in the trenches, and we're just clean slating it. And that is really, really cool. I don't know, just a new era of life. So follow along. I'm so excited. I have so much to say. So we'll be back next week. I'll let you guys know how the move goes. Let you know what to think about with the solar eclipse in Aries coming. So like, subscribe, follow our journey, support, ask any questions. I got you, because this channel, again, as much as I want to share with you guys how I live life through astrology, I also want you guys to live your life. So either book a reading, drop a comment, ask some questions. I got you. All right. I'll see you next week.